So this is a solution to the Lesson 5 challenge, where we need to get swipe to delete working. I gave you the hint that a lot of the code was already here that you need. You just need to figure out which method it is and then uncomment it. So if I was trying to figure this out, I would uncomment the first method and then option click to look it up in the documentation and read about it. So it looks like this method will verify that a given row is editable. And we definitely want our rows to be editable if we want them to be able to be deleted. But then if you look down here in the discussion, it says that if this method is not implemented, all rows are assumed to be editable. So it sounds like we don't need this because it's going to assume that the rows are editable anyway. So I'm going to undo the uncommenting of that method, and then I'm going to look up this next one. So the description here says it asks the data source to commit the insertion or deletion of a specified row in the receiver, and that sounds a lot like what we're looking for. And then when I read the discussion, the second paragraph says to enable the swipe to delete feature of table views across a row to display the delete button, you must implement this method. So it sounds like this is exactly what we're looking for. So now that we've uncommented the method, it's active, and let's run the project and see what happens. Okay, if I swipe the code, the delete button shows up, so that's great. It looks like it's working. But then when I press the delete button, we get this. And this is what happens when your app crashes. This is what you see. And then in the debugging console down here, you get information on why it crashed. And this is actually an uncommonly verbose reason. It gives you a lot of information here. And the gist of it is that there was a row that was deleted, but our data source didn't actually remove it from the number of rows. So what's happening is the table view wants to delete a row, but we're not updating our array. And so there are still the same amount of items in the array, but there should only be 3 items in the array and there should only be 3 rows. So the table view is getting really confused. So what we need to do is stop the app and then go back to our table view controller.m file. And we need to add some code to actually delete the item from the array. This first if statement checks to see whether a row is being deleted or added. We're deleting rows, so it seems like we could add code here to remove an object from the array. So let's do that. And just to make sure my assumptions are correct about this if statement, I'm going to add some NSLog code on the next line. But our code still crashes, so let's go back and see what we did. So notice that our deleting item log never actually shows up in our log, and that means the code never gets to here. So somewhere up here it's crashing, and it's actually causing the app to crash on this method, delete rows at index paths, because we need to update our data source before that row. So let's copy this code and put it above the delete rows at index paths. Now let's try to run the project again. So now I can swipe and then delete, and everything works. And I can even add items and delete them from the list as well. So it looks like everything's working now, and we'll use this as a starting point for the next lesson, where we'll build on top of this app to add some more features.